Right guys, welcome back to another episode on our smart home project. Yeah, so what I wanted to talk to you guys today about is some of the equipment that we've got going in this project. So we've got some of it here laid out on the table. Some of it isn't here yet, so we're still missing like touch screens, and I haven't got out multiples of stuff. So we've got 4 speakers and I've only got one on the table, for example. But I thought I'd just give you a quick breakdown of what we sort of think of, what we allow for, what we use. Yeah, so you can get an understanding of what goes into these projects. So this is the equipment that will be going onto the infrastructure that we installed in a previous episode. If you haven't seen that, click here to see that video. So what we'll do, we'll start with some of the sort of incoming services or services for this smart home. So we've got here a digital aerial and a Sky Q dish. Now this is a genuine Sky LMB. So some of the older Sky HD LMBs were quad band, so they would have had 4 outlets. These Sky Q ones are a little bit different, so we're making sure that we've got the correct one here with the horizontal and the vertical inputs. So we've run 3 coaxial cables up to this position, 2 for the Sky Q and 1 for the digital TV. Now, a lot of the time, people won't allow for the Sky Q dish, but the reason that we've done this is the build is so nice, we didn't want Sky coming along and butchering up the install. So what we'll do, we'll provide the dish, we'll provide the LMB, we'll get it set up at the side of the house, we'll get it dialed in, and at least that way it saves sort of the Sky engineer a job, but it just means that it's not going to ruin our project and the client's home. So they can just come in, we can connect up the equipment, and we're good to go. So that's that. We will put a filter on this antenna just to filter any 4G. No, what is it? Is it a 4G? All right, cut this. Let me find out what it is. Where was we? Ready? Mm-hmm. So we will be putting a 4G filter on this antenna, and that just cuts any interference from any local sort of 4G masts. Seeing as we're quite high up on the property, we'll talk next about the CCTV system. So we've gone for a Dahua system here. The reason we use Dahua is because their integration with Control4 is incredible. The driver that connects these 2 systems together is really good, really robust, really reliable, and it just works well for us. So we've got here a 8-channel, 6 terabyte hard drive NVR, and we've got 4 AI cameras. Now, the AI cameras stands for, as you know, artificial intelligence, and what these cameras are able to do is differentiate between certain objects. So it knows what a human being is, it knows what a car is. So for example, if you're setting up trip detection for a person, it won't go off if a fox or a cat or a squirrel or the trees blow past the trip wire or into the zone. It knows when a person's walking in and will trigger, you know, the alarm or the event, etc., etc. Same for a car. So if we set one up on the driveway and we say, once a car pulls into the driveway, turn on these lights, it might be a little bit different for if a person walks in. So it's a really good way of being able to utilize the technology to really home in and specify exactly what we're looking at. And we can also set up alerts on that as well. So we can set up alerts for people and cars. And it's just, yeah, it works really well. Although showing white on the box, these are actually black or dark grey, which will go really nice with the soffit and blend in. So moving on with the CCTV, which is part of our security and surveillance, we've got here our Texacom alarm. So this is a keypad in a, I believe, what is that, a black finish? Yeah, that's a gloss black finish. I think we will be going for a different finish on this project, but that is what that looks like. Here is the panel, and this little device in here is the SmartCom. Now the SmartCom is a Wi-Fi and Ethernet module, which allows us to communicate with the alarm. So standalone, it will set up a Texacom Connect app, and that will give you control of the alarm remotely. But what we use it for is to tie it into Control4. Now again, similarly with the CCTV system, it will allow us to use some of the inputs and the triggers to automate our system. So for example, we can use the PIR sensors and use the fact that they're triggered to automate our system and turn on lights at certain times of the day or do other functions. So it's a nice, neat way of allowing us to really integrate the home and allows us to also arm and disarm with a press of a button. So you will need to still put in your code, but it means that if you forget to do it, for example, you can arm and disarm your home from anywhere in the world via the Control4 system, which is really cool. Tying on to that, this little thing here is a little bit similar to what you'd have seen with a Nest doorbell, but this is Control4's Chime doorbell. Essentially, it is a video doorbell, but it's tied into the Control4 system. So we haven't got one here, but the customer will have a Control4 touchscreen, and when they look at their cameras, they will be able to see the doorbell camera and their 4 CCTV cameras all on the same screen. Again, we can tie that in to use the button presses and it detects in motion to trigger events within the Control4 system. So for example, when that button is pressed, we can play a ding dong sound through the speakers, and maybe, I guess, downstairs in the cinema, if the cinema is being used, we can quickly flash the lights in the ceiling to let them know that someone has pressed the doorbell, as they might not hear it. I know I said that the heating and the cooling was going to be out of our scope, but I've got a heat miser stat here, so I just thought I'd explain it to you. So these here are the thermostats that we like to use. They mesh into their own network and they connect to a Neo hub. Now the Neo hub is what connects into our home network, which is this equipment here, and it allows us again to communicate with the Control4, pull it all into one central system. So again, you can go into the Control4 app and you can change your heating settings there. This here, this Draytech system, is our home network system. So we've got the 960Cs as our access point. So these are Wi-Fi 6 access points, really good dual band, very fast access points, nice and robust, really good handoff for roaming. We swear by them, really good. Here is our 2866 router. So this is our G-Fast. I'm not too sure what the client's got coming in yet. We're still waiting to see if they've got fiber coming in or what's coming in. But if they have G-Fast, this router is capable to handle that technology, which is essentially just a faster broadband speed. But this is our security firewall. This manages our network. It's a really vital bit of kit in terms of security and managing all of our devices on the network. And then just below here, we've got some switches. PoE switch will power a lot of our PoE devices. It will power our cameras. So we actually plug our cameras into the switch, not into the back of the NVR. It just helps us to manage the system better that way. Right, so moving on, these are our Triad in-ceiling speakers. So they're the Series 3 speaker, so I think they're capable of handling around 140 watts. And we're just having some nice, simple, white round grills on those. They clip on by magnets to give us a very nice, clean, almost invisible, not really invisible, but they blend in nicely with the ceiling. Now, powering those are these two Triad 1 amplifiers. So they're already in. So they're already in their rack cage. So these are two streaming amplifiers that will power 2 of those speakers each. And again, they will allow us to, with the press of the doorbell, play a ding dong noise through the speakers. You can stream all of your sort of favorite streaming applications through those amplifiers. So if you're using tuning for radio, D is our Tidal, Spotify Connect and go straight from your phone through the speakers, through the amplifiers, through the speakers. And they're really, really good quality amplifiers. Controlling the Control4 system is this here. This is the EA3 controller. Now, at the time of this video, which is mid-May, these are just been announced to be discontinued. So in a couple of months' time, there's a new Core series coming out. So this will be replaced with a Core 3 processor, controller even. But this here is for sort of medium-sized applications. And that there is what processes all of our smart devices and brings them into one central control system. So with this here on the back, we have got some digital coax outs and an analog out, so that will give us some streaming output. So the EA3 has 3 streaming outputs, 1 digital, 1 analog, and 1 via the HDMI. It's got a few IR and serial connections as a relay and a contact there for bringing in some third-party applications and devices. So here we have some of the lighting control components. So I didn't want to get the whole lighting control panel out because it's massive and I just thought there's no need. So we'll just briefly run through. So this is the keypad that we've got here. So in this project, we've just got some plain Snow White keypads, just one gang. And these will be engraved a couple of months down the line once the client's happy with the final settings. We're doing a hybrid in this property. So we've got here a keypad which sits on the bus network. So if you can see from the rear here, we've just got our power and our data connections. So that sits on the bus, which is from this Control4 bus F8 gateway here. So all of these bus inputs is what you'll wire to your switches. There are also sort of like input modules. So all those devices will communicate back through the bus, which will then communicate through to your modules. This is just a power supply for that bus, and this is a dimmer channel. So it's got 8 loads, so it can dim 8 channels, all controllable from the front here for a sort of a manual override. And so we've got 2 of these going in, so we'll have 16 loads. We're only doing the ground floor and the garden and some of the outside sort of wall lights at the minute. The cinema will be controlled probably via just some retrofit switches, because there's only going to be about 4 loads in there. So we'll probably just use 2 switches. And the switches look like this. So they all look the same, but on the rear of this one here, you will see we've got a line in, your 2 neutrals, and then you've got your 2 dimmable loads, so load 1 and load 2. So they all look the same. These communicate via Zigbee, which is the wireless Control4, which is a wireless protocol that Control4 use. And what that does give us a little bit of redundancy, because if for whatever reason the system goes down, the Control4 system become unresponsive, whereas the retrofit keypads, we do have a bit of redundancy in them, and we can program in some sort of manual light and loads to come on if the system does go down. So yeah, that is pretty much the system as it stands. We do have some lighting examples here. So these are from Orlight. And what we do try to use, we try to stay away from phase dimming. Although on this project we've got phase dimming, that wasn't due to our specifications. But as you can see here, what we've got here is some 0 to 10 dimmable drivers. And then for these small lights here, they're just switched. So these are really, really nice fittings with different engines. So this is a 13-watt engine. And I can't remember the lumens, but it's probably like 1400 lumens or something like that. So we can get different size engines for different light outputs. I believe they do a 6 and an 8 maybe. And there's many different lighting options. These are magnetic, adjustable, and we have fire hoods here to keep them compliant in our ceilings. So yeah, those work really nicely with the Control4 lighting control systems, as well as Lutron, which is another lighting control system that we offer. And finally, we'll just talk about these remote controls. So this here is an SR260 remote control. We don't have any remote controls going in on this project yet. I do believe we'll squeeze one in because they have a TV going in, and at the moment they haven't requested the TV to be pulled into the Control4 system. But why would you have Control4 and not be able to control your TV from the remote? I guess that's because they've got a portable touchscreen in there, but that can be a bit too, 1, awkward and clunky using a touchscreen to control a TV, and 2, if that's sitting on the kitchen island and you've sat down by the TV, you're going to want a remote control. So we probably will sling a remote control in there. But from this remote control, you're able to control the blinds, the music, the lights, most things from here. You can't obviously see your cameras and stuff, but you can pull the cameras in to the TV via the remote control. Now, this here is a remote control for the fireplace. Now, we did try to get a fireplace with IR control. And basically what we do with the Control4 system is we would copy the commands of the IR remote control for the fireplace, and we'd replicate them, so we'd be able to take control of the fireplace using the Control4 system. The fireplace that the clients found and they liked doesn't have any IR control. It doesn't have any sort of control, any sort of inputs for us to take control of. So what they do have is an RF remote control. And we've tested this, so it will work. But what we're going to do is take apart this remote control, and with a few of these buttons, we are going to solder onto the connectors, and we're going to use relays to close the contacts and basically replicate a button press. So this remote control will think that someone is pushing that on button, when all we've done is we've allowed Control4 to integrate with the remote control and give us the control that we need. So we will be able to gain control of the fireplace, which is a nice little touch, because that would be really cool for scene control, to be able to walk into the room, press one button, dim the lights down, play some music, pull the blinds down, turn the TV on, and turn the fireplace on. Although I don't know why you'd want music on and TV at the same time, but why not? So yeah, that's pretty much it for this project. The next time you see us, we will be on site installing all this. I haven't got the rack here, it's still on order. Head over to the channel, give us a subscribe, like the videos, and have a watch. See you guys soon.